Alrighty, squad, we're back. Continue our discussion on exocytosis and endocytosis. This episode, video episode, whatever you want to call it, to be honest. You could call it you could call it whatever you want. But we're going to focus in on endocytosis. So endocytosis, if you look at that prefix, that endo, bringing things into the cell. So endocytosis, bringing things into the cell. There's three types of endocytosis. They're all active transport mechanisms. There's phagocytosis, pinocytosis, and receptor-mediated endocytosis. So let's start with phagocytosis. So it's engulfing materials into the cell, and with phagocytosis, it's engulfing solid materials into the cell. So anything solid that comes into the cell, let's think of the cell, it has these cytoplasmic extensions called pseudopodia. So whenever a solid material is lingering around the outside, it kind of folds in, and this becomes the vesicles that moves into the cell, and then various organelles within the cell actually release enzymes that destroy this solid material. And the same exact thing really happens with pinocytosis. It's engulfing liquid materials into the cell. So instead of engulfing solid materials, pinocytosis engulfs liquid materials. So same concept. Here's the cell. Here's the little pseudopodia cytoplasmic extensions. Here's some liquid with solutes in it. Boom, bring it in. Vesicle comes in. Same exact concept. Organelles secrete enzymes. Boom, destroys the vesicle and breaks it down. So phagocytosis and pinocytosis, it engulfs pathogens, viruses, things we don't want or need in our body. So think of phagocytosis, sticking kind of with the Mayo analogy here. It's pretty simple and we all can understand it. Phagocytosis is a person, designated person, let's say, that brings the boxes and packages from Amazon into the house, where pinocytosis, it's a person that brings the envelopes of mail into the house. So phagocytosis, it's more that solid material, the boxes, the packages coming into the house. Pinocytosis, think of the envelopes as the liquid material. Person brings it into the house. So phagocytosis, pinocytosis, same concept, except phagocytosis brings solid materials into the cell with the aid of a vesicle. Pinocytosis brings liquid materials into the cell with the aid of a vesicle. And then last but certainly not least, endocytosis-wise, we have receptor-mediated endocytosis. So same thing, bringing substances into the cell with the aid of a vesicle, but before bringing the substances in, the substances need to bind to receptors. So once, say, 5 receptors are bound to outside the cell, boom, 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 a vesicle goes into the cell at this point. But until those receptors are bound to, the substances aren't going to be brought into the cell. So all these receptors need to be bound to in receptor-mediated endocytosis, and then it kind of actually folds in on itself and forms a vesicle into the cell there. And there's a coated vesicle, which then can be destroyed if there's pathogens and viruses and so on and so forth. So think of receptor-mediated endocytosis as like a school bus that won't go into school until all of the students are sitting in their seats. So until all the students are picked up and sitting in their seats, the school bus is not going to go into the school. So until all the receptors and receptor-mediated endocytosis are bound to, the substances aren't going to be moved into the cell. But once all the students are sat down or substances are binding to receptors, okay, vesicle goes into the cell, brings the substances with it because the substances are coated in that vesicle there. And now that's endocytosis. Next video here, we're going to look at exocytosis.